Success shouldn't feel this exhausting. If you're winning on paper, but burning out behind the scenes, you aren't failing. You're stuck in a psychological bottleneck called a hurdle of stop. I've been there. On the outside, things look great, but I was secretly burning out, convinced I was just lucky and waiting to be exposed as a fraud. I realized I didn't have a business problem. I had a mindset block. Whether it's imposter syndrome, perfectionism, or fear or failure, these aren't just feelings. They are growth bottlenecks. Identify your specific hurdle and get one immediate action step to regain your momentum today. Go to tuepodcast.net/quiz. That's tuepodcast.net/quiz to take the 3-minute assessment and get your report now. This is an Undiscovered Legacy production and proud member of Pod Nation Media Network. Hello, Skoob believers, and welcome to episode number 105 of the Undiscovered Entrepreneur. And it's me, Skoob, coming at you on whatever device you happen to be listening on. All right, so I just want to kind of give you fair warning right up front here. I got a new microphone. Ta-da! I actually won that at PodFest from the Shure Microphone Company. Thank you, Shure Microphone Company. So what you hear now and what you hear in the interview might be a little bit different because I'm using a different microphone then. So just wanted to let you know. All right, so today's entrepreneur is Emily. Emily transitioned from a 12-year career in corporate fashion to found Vice Versa Strategy, a digital marketing agency specializing in e-commerce and website development. After being laid off from her corporate job, Emily turned her side hustle into a full-time business, making as much money in her first month as she did in her corporate job. After implementing tools that she learned from the Blocks TV show, which I'm working on getting on myself right now. So a little bit more on that later. Despite her success helping others with marketing strategies, Emily admits that she still struggles with imposter syndrome and putting herself out there, demonstrating her authenticity and relatability as an entrepreneur. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's listen to Emily. Are you ready to unlock your entrepreneur potential? Are you ready to break free from all the barriers holding you back? Then you've come to the right place. Welcome to the Undiscovered Entrepreneur, your first step in getting across the start line. I'm your host and guide, Skoob, and I'm here with one mission, to help you overcome the obstacles standing between you and the start of your adventure. Whether you're dreaming of launching a startup, creating the next big app, or turning your passion into a thriving business, this podcast is your launchpad. Together we'll navigate the challenges, overcome hidden boundaries that stop us from starting, and learn how to overcome them with the help of others, experience them right along with you. So are you ready to take that crucial step to transform from aspiring to inspiring? Then let's get across that start line together, right here, right now, on the Undiscovered Entrepreneur. Salutations, Skoob believers, and we are here again with another amazing entrepreneur. So today we're here with Emily. Hi, Emily. How are you?
Hi, I'm doing well. How are you? How's it going over there in snowy Missouri?
Oh yeah, it's that time of season. It's snowing out there. I got a good at least 3 or 4 inches going on right now.
And I'm over here complaining about 68-degree weather. So
I'm originally from California, so I complain when it's under 50 and over 80. So
exactly.
All right, Emily, before we get started here, I have one kind of semi-serious question to ask you. Okay, you ready?
Yes.
Okay, here we go. Are you a Skoob believer?
I'm a Skoob believer.
All right, yay! Thanks, Emily. Thank you for being a Skoob believer. I super appreciate you. All right, so right up here front here, I want you to kind of give us an idea of who you are, what your entrepreneur adventure is, and how you got across the start line in your entrepreneur adventure.
Definitely. My name is Emily Vernon. Once again, I got started. I'm actually the founder of Vice Versa Strategy, which is a digital marketing agency. How I got started doing that was I was working in corporate fashion for about 12 years. started kind of just side hustling, and that's kind of how it came about. So I actually went to school for fashion. I thought I was going to be a stylist. All of my internships were in styling. I was like, that's going to be my big thing. Graduated and realized there's not a lot of money in styling. So I got hired straight out of college, working for one of the Beverly Hills Housewives. Not sure if you're familiar, probably not, but working for that store as a stylist slash copywriter for a website. I was there for about 6 months alongside a team of nine, all nine of us working for the website. I got laid off along with the team of nine, and I got called back 3 months later, and I inherited all nine people's jobs. So that was kind of like my introduction to e-commerce. My love for it just grew from there. I worked for several different fashion brands, BCBG, True Religion, a couple others. And I just started side hustling, and friends would be like, "Hey, you build websites. Can you help me?" And I'm like, "I don't, but I'll learn." So I kind of just taught myself a lot of things along the way. And then along with a lot of other folks, I was affected by layoffs about 2 years ago. And I was like, let me just take this side hustle serious and turn it into like a real business. And I've been doing that ever since.
Fantastic. It's amazing to me how fashion got you. So you started there, but you ended up on a whole different plane on the
Yeah.
other end of the playing field there, especially after having that intern for 6 months and then got laid off. Then suddenly you inherited everybody's job. It's like, okay, let's just do it all.
Just figure it out. And I kind of just figured it out. And then along the way, I've just been figuring it out. And I have predominantly fashion clients. I do have some CPG clients, but I'm mainly still like fashion adjacent, kind of, but not really. So I'm still a little bit in that world.
No, that's cool. That's cool. I think the really cool part about the whole thing though is you're self-taught. Self-education is so important when you're doing an entrepreneur adventure. You always want to keep going. And whatever you're doing, and always kind of educate yourself. On-time education is what I call that, because as you're learning something, oh, I got to learn this now, so we're going to learn this so we can move on and do our next thing. So that's awesome.
Absolutely. I always say I'm a student first. I'm always willing to learn. I don't know it all. I'm figuring things out along the way. Thank God for Chat GPT and and Google, and there's so many resources out there that it's definitely helping me learn along my journey. I feel like I have an advantage given the resources that we have these days.
And we may not have had that 20 or 30 years ago. I know I was there. But, if you have the capability and the resources, don't be afraid to use it. Use what you have available to you now. I mean, before it was Encyclopedia Britannica, right? For my time,
Yeah.
and we just kind of went from there.
I'm
But
not sure if the encyclopedia would have the answers I'm looking for. So I'm glad that I can just Google anything and the answer appears. And I'm a student of YouTube University. I've learned a lot from there. So
I think we all are at one point or another in our entrepreneur adventure.
absolutely.
But I think being self-taught is actually better for me than somebody that has a certificate that says, okay, I got the certificate. Yay, I got this piece of paper saying I did this. But it really doesn't give you the experience, the real world experience that you can have going out there and actually doing the thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I think working corporate for so many years and seeing the mistakes of what other big businesses have done, because I've worked for a lot of bankrupt companies. A lot. I don't know if I'm the problem. Every time I join, they go bankrupt, something's happening, but I've worked for a lot of bankrupt companies and I see the mistakes. So I think that's definitely helped me along the way, as well as just like working with my first couple of clients and figuring it out and trying to stay organized, and a lot of trial and error.
Yeah, sometimes knowing what not to do is just as important as knowing what to do.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So, in your I mean, you come across entrepreneurs all the time, I'm sure, and kind of get a handle of what's going on. What do you think holds back most entrepreneurs getting started in their entrepreneurial adventure? What stops new entrepreneurs from getting across the start line?
Themselves. I can attest to that. I think if I didn't get laid off, I probably wouldn't have gotten as serious as I did. I think there's so many things that you kind of overthink about. So first you're like, oh my God, my MVP, is this it? Is this the one? Do I need to tweak it? Do I need to change my product? I think it's just a lot of overthinking, and you get in your own head in your own way. I think sometimes you just got to put it out there and see what happens. Luckily, I kind of had like a little bit of a trial period by freelancing on the side while I was still working corporate. So I was able to be like, okay, I had a couple clients, I was figuring it out. But I think getting thrown into it was like, oh, okay, now like this is paying my bills. Like I need to really figure it out. I think just putting yourself out there and putting the product out or putting the service out, seeing how it goes. Like this is not something that once it's out there, that's it. You can always change it. You can just tweak it. You can always, change the name. You don't have to be committed to anything in your business. You can always make changes. I think people get scared about that and they make excuses like, I don't have the money, I don't have this, I don't have the resources. But there's just too many resources out there to not figure it out. You just have to do it and get out of your own head.
A lot of what you described just now has a lot to do with one of the hurdles to stop that I always talk about, and that's perfectionism. We try to make it perfect. We make those little
Yeah.
tweaks and we keep making tweaks and like, okay, I'm going to wait for the perfect time to do this, or I got to wait for this comes out perfectly, and just do the thing. Really, just do it and see what happens because you're what you're doing is you're
Just do
procrastinating. I mean, and you're hiding behind perfectionism. You want it to be
absolutely,
exactly perfect. So
absolutely.
we don't want to do that. That's not how we get things going because we can't wait for that perfect time because that perfect time is never going to come if you keep doing what you're doing. So put out the MVP and just get some feedback from it and let it grow from there.
Definitely. I think going on the show, The Blocks, had taught me so much about that. That was their main thing. It was like number one, just launch the MVP. Just put it out there. You can tweak it, you can change it, you can because I think a lot of people in that were on the show were pre-seed or they just had an idea. They didn't necessarily launch their product yet. So I think for those folks, it was really just like, just put it out there. Doesn't matter. You can always make changes. You might be the only one that's seeing it. You don't even have an audience yet. Like, put it out there, see what people say, and then just keep making changes to it. So I think that's definitely just put it out there. Who cares? Who cares if you have an Instagram following of 3 people? Like, it's gonna grow. Be consistent. Put it out. If you believe in your product, you love it, or you believe in your service so much, and you know that the world needs it, just put it out there in the world.
All right. Good advice from Emily. Thank you, Emily. Listen to that, Scoop Believers, because it's all true. Hey, you were on the blocks.
I was on the blogs.
You're the second person I've talked to that was actually on that show, and I was invited onto the show. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to attend, even though it's like only an hour away from where I live. But yeah, that's amazing. What a great experience
Oh,
for you.
really? Oh, so close. It was an incredible experience. Who else did you have on that was on the show?
So I can't remember her name right off the top of my head, but she designed children's pacifiers, but it was like a healthy, safe pacifier instead of being like the regular one that you usually see.
Oh, okay. Just curious. I was wondering if she was on my season, but I would have remembered that. So
Yeah,
probably not.
probably. That's a,
Yeah, it was like 20 something seasons. So
I'll get there. I will eventually get there. I this is that's it's definitely on my gotta do this list to be on that show because they keep asking me if I want to be on. I guess they like me or something. I don't know.
yeah, it's an incredible experience. You meet amazing people. I met a lot of friends that are like lifelong friends now. It's just having that community of entrepreneurs is amazing. You can bounce ideas off each other. To me, the biggest benefit outside of just being on the show and experiencing it is we have a Facebook alumni group chat, Facebook group, and people bounce ideas off each other. There's so many resources. Hey, I need XYZ, people helping each other. It's a great community. So definitely 10 out of 10 recommend it.
Fantastic. You could definitely find that on Facebook, y'all, if you want to look. I might even try to put something in the show notes there for people to check that out just because it's so
Yeah,
exciting.
definitely. I was season 13, episode 6 and 7, if you want to find me.
There you go. All right. So we talked about what stops other people from getting across the start line, especially in being a new entrepreneur. But did you find that perfectionism or something along those lines stopped you from getting started?
Definitely, because this isn't just my first entrepreneurial journey in my head, if you will. Like I've opened businesses and haven't done anything. So I've definitely been in that state. I've working in fashion, I've wanted to have a clothing line for so many years, but I overthought it to the point that I just never did it. So I think I get my creative outlet out by helping other entrepreneurs, helping other business owners, helping people with clothing lines, help grow their business. I think that's my new I need to focus on that instead of marketing it versus actually creating a clothing line. Just the idea of it was becoming too stressful and I couldn't even. I have a bunch of designs that I'm sitting on that I never released. So I was just like, I just didn't do it. So I can relate to that.
Put it out there.
One day,
Oh, now, come
one
on,
day.
Emily.
Yeah, the my business name, Vice Versa Strategy, was originally a clothing line. It was vice versa, but I just never put it out.
We're going to have a conversation later, Emily. I guarantee it.
Yeah, we'll talk. We'll talk.
That's great. It is. It's a common thing. It really is. And eventually, once you actually get over that hurdle of perfectionism, things just seem to take off from there because you're actually starting to make move, and now you're actually starting to get something out there that's tangible that you can learn from, that you can grow from. And just getting over one of those hurdles that I always talk about. My hurdles, just so you know, are perfectionism, imposter syndrome, failure, and fear. Getting over these four hurdles of stop is really what stops us from getting across the start line. And we need to get over these hurdles so we can continue on with what we're doing. So it's nice to see that you got over perfectionism and continued on with what you wanted to do.
Yeah, syndrome is actually the reason why I attended the blocks. I was just so, I didn't even have an Instagram before that. I was too nervous to put myself out there. I just felt like, oh, maybe I didn't know enough. And I know a lot of big agency owners in the industry and e-commerce. And I was just like, I'm not there yet. And I kept kind of holding myself back in that respect. So a lot of the reason why I went on the blocks is because another goal of mine is to just do content and to be in front of a camera, which is why I've done a ton of podcasts, haven't even really posted them, to be honest, which is I'm my biggest enemy. I can relate to all the things, all the recommendations I give to people. I am not always necessarily doing. I'm still working on myself. We're figuring it out.
That's how we do things. We just figure it out. Sometimes you just got to throw it out there and just see what happens.
Yeah, but this is great practice for me. I know I need to be talking for a living, and I'm talking to my clients, but I'm not talking to the world. And that's what I need to be doing. So a lot of the reason why I went on the blocks was for that, to get comfortable in front of the cameras. If you would have seen I did a podcast, it was kind of like an interview type of thing with somebody that I have a partnership agreement with, an agency. And if you saw that interview in comparison to today, I re-recorded it 5 times. I know the girl was so tired of me. She was like, girl, you're fine. And I'm like, I was reading from a script. I was so nervous. Now, after being on the show and being in front of cameras and I've probably done like 6 interviews after that. I'm way more comfortable. So I think just like putting myself out there is definitely like helping me train myself in that respect.
You just got to put in the reps. You just got to kind of get used to it and understand how to do it. Once you can do it, it just happens easier and easier and easier the more times that you do it.
Definitely, for sure.
So can you do me a favor? And since you had experience imposter syndrome as well too, what's imposter syndrome to you? What would be a definition for you for imposter syndrome?
Uh, Not an exact definition, but it would be like feeling like not that you're not worthy of something, but you haven't earned the right to be somewhere. So I think especially like a lot of my struggle was around being a person of color in a very white space, working in corporate offices. It almost felt like I didn't belong, or I wasn't supposed to be there. It almost felt like, how did I even get here? Even though I know that looking at my career and the trajectory of it, I earned my keep. I climbed the corporate ladder, if you will. I earned the right to be where I was supposed to be, but I still always felt kind of out of place. So I think that's kind of like what it means for me, where it almost feels like right now, it's like I have people come up to me, friends of friends, people that have watched podcast interviews, people that have reached out to me, seeing podcast interviews from like somebody else that has posted it. And they'll say like, oh my God, I admire you. I would love to be where you are. And I stop and I'm like, wait, what? People are looking up to me? Like, you want to be where I am? I want to be where XYZ person is. You know what I mean? You never know who's admiring you, who's looking at what you're doing and wishing they were in your shoes. And then it's very humbling to be like, wow, somebody's actually, wants to be where I am. And it kind of gives you that confidence boost of like, wow, I really know I'm here. I'm where I'm supposed to be. So I think that definitely is like all part of it.
Good. I love it. Everybody's definition of the hurdle is different. So I like to try to get an idea of where you're coming from as far as that particular hurdle, since you experienced that. And so we all can kind of say, oh, yeah, that's kind of what's happening with me too. So I really appreciate you defining that for me.
Awesome. Yeah.
you've been on a couple podcasts. You've probably heard, what was your deepest pitfall? What was the hardest thing for you? And that kind of thing. I'd like to kind of turn that around a little bit. I'd like to know, what was the hardest pitfall that you experienced that you're actually proud of? Like, I am so glad I experienced this pitfall, because if I didn't have that pitfall, I wouldn't be where I am today here. Anything like that ever happened to you?
Yeah, I would say a pitfall for me would be getting laid off because I was very financially dependent on my very cushy, very well-paying job in corporate. And it didn't push me to work harder to get clients. It didn't push me to grow my business at all. I was kind of just stagnant and I was comfortable where I was at because I was more focused on my corporate job and I had a couple clients here and there, but it wasn't anything that I was looking to, I wasn't forcing myself to grow, if you will. So I was just doing what I was doing. Once I got laid off, it was like I'm living off my severance and my last couple of paychecks and unemployment and ran out. I went on the blocks a month later. I was broke. I was like, I didn't know what I was going to do. And I'm telling you, that was such a big turning point for me. The following month, once I left the blocks, I was already getting reached out to by a couple of people, referrals while I was there. And I told myself I wasn't going to work while I was there, but I did. And then it was like the following month, I made as much money as I did in corporate that first month, just from like implementing some of the tools that I learned and also just like getting referrals, a lot of referrals from the blocks. I was getting so many meetings, my calendar was booked up. I was on a cruise, I remember, and I was like, I had like a million like calendar invites and I'm like taking meetings every day. And I was like, oh my God, I'm just so busy all of a sudden. And for the previous month, I was stressed out about like, how am I going to pay my rent? What am I going to do? And it just resolved itself. And I started getting more confident. I met a ton of people from the blocks and it was just like, it just grew overnight. So I think experiencing that of not knowing what to do and then getting the tools, implementing them and seeing it happen in real time and seeing the changes and seeing my growth of where I was literally this day last year was I was on the blocks. So just thinking about what's happened in the past year, how much has changed, how much growth I've had, how many clients I've had. It's just been amazing to see that. And I would not be where I am today if all of that didn't happen.
And it all breaks down to, once you actually have the tools, you have to implement the tools. You can't just sit on them. Like, okay, I know this now. Well, do something about it. None of that's going to help you until you actually put the tools into action, put what you've learned into action. And being able to experience something as great as the blocks, I mean, to be able to get those tools to where you need to make yourself where you're at now, I would take advantage of all of them.
Yeah, definitely. And just meeting the people that I met and everybody just helping each other. It's like, oh, I use this tool. I'm doing this. This is what helps me stay organized. I think organization, is it left brain? Not right brain. What's the one that's messy? That's the one that I am. And it was so hard for me to get organized in my business because it's just me doing everything. So I think figuring out what resources worked for me, talking to my fellow Bloxers and friends that I've met and just like other business owners, like I didn't really have a lot. I have a lot of friends that are entrepreneurs. I wouldn't say they're the most organized either. So I think being able to have some type A people that are like, hey, this is what I do and this is what helps me, and implementing those things as well, and just seeing the change and seeing the growth and seeing how that's helped me so much.
Fantastic. That's awesome. Thank you for that. That's great information. Okay, so what I like to do here is, now most of my listeners are all brand new entrepreneurs that are just getting started in their entrepreneurial adventure. So what I'd like to know is, if you came across a new entrepreneur that's just getting started, what piece of solid advice would you give them?
I would ask them what phase of their business they're in. Did they already launch? Because if they haven't launched yet, I would say just launch it. And then I would say, I think a couple of things, because I've had this question before, is what to do financially, which is things that I did not do in the beginning. I think building your business credit is so important. And that's something that I would definitely push for somebody to do. Like, make sure you're opening your business account. I was originally, for the first like 2 years of my business, mixing my corporate money and like everything was going to my regular bank account. I didn't separate my funds. So that would be my first piece of advice, is like, get a business account, get a business credit card, start building your business credit, because one day you're going to need a loan and you want to make sure that you're solid in your business credit. So that would be my biggest piece of advice. Just launch the product and also make sure that you're, doing some sort of bookkeeping, or I use a website called Wave, and that's what I use to invoice my clients. I attach all of my business accounts to it, and I make sure that I'm like, when tax season rolls around, everything is in that app, in that website, and I don't have to worry about it. Like I wasn't doing any type of bookkeeping before that. And when tax season rolled around the first year, I was so stressed because I was like looking through receipts, looking through my personal account. I didn't know what was going on. So definitely make sure that you're keeping track of your finances.
Is that wave.com or
WAVE app.com. Wave app.
app? Okay. I'm going to check that out for myself too, because I'm a mess right now when it comes to my taxes. So, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, it's great. And at your account, it shows every single transaction, and you can literally say what it is. Like, oh, this is a business lunch. This is whatever. You can categorize things. So you don't ever have to worry about it. And when tax season rolls around, it's all in there. You can invoice clients in there. It's so easy. It's quick. It's my favorite tool.
Fantastic. Thank you for the tool advice too. Appreciate that.
Absolutely. Yeah. One of my clients was a bookkeeper who I also met on the blocks, who's a great friend. And she was like, girl, you're a mess. You need to get it together. And she told me about Wave. So
awesome. That's great. All right. So what I like to do with all my guests is get a 6-month goal for yourself and your business. So in the next 6 months, where do you see yourself and your company?
Ooh, 6 months. Okay. So one of my immediate goals is to hire an assistant. I haven't taken the leap yet. I have finally hired 2 contractors, but it's per project. I haven't hired anyone full-time. So I would like to have a full-time assistant that's helping with sifting through my emails, which I'm terrible at, making sure, updating my project management tools, making sure I'm meeting deadlines, updating calendars, that sort of thing, because I'm just doing everything and I'm very overwhelmed. And I know in order to grow, I do need help. I would say that is like my biggest immediate goal is having, because I have great, amazing months, and then I have months that are like, eh. So that's why I've been so scared to take the leap. And I just want to be more consistent. Probably should start doing contracts with my clients. I haven't done that because then I would have a better idea of where I am financially each month. So probably implementing contracts and getting an assistant. Those are the top 2.
Okay. Contracts and assistant. Okay, Emily. So what I'd like to do with you, if it's okay with you, is I'd actually like to follow up with you in 6 months.
Okay.
Have another interview just like this one. And we're going to see if you've actually accomplished those goals. So you're not just accountable to me, but you're accountable to an entire audience now. Okay.
Okay.
No pressure.
No pressure.
All right, cool. So, Emily, this is your time to shine. This is the time where you kind of advertise yourself. Tell us how to get a hold of you and all that good stuff. Okay, ready, set, go.
If you're looking for me, you can find me on Instagram at www.instagram.com/vice versa strategy. You can also find me on LinkedIn, vice versa strategy as well. And you can also go to my website, viceversastrategy.com. If you are looking for email or SMS marketing, website design or development, or e-commerce strategy. So if you have a website, it's not performing and you're not sure why, and you want to drive more growth, contact me.
Awesome. What was your Instagram again? I'm sorry, you broke up a little bit on that one.
It's Instagram/vice versa strategy.
Okay, cool. All right. Okay. Emily, thank you so much for coming on to the Undiscovered Entrepreneur. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you on the program, and I can't wait to follow up with you in 6 months and see where you are.
Oh my God, amazing. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
All right. All right, Skoob believers, thank you very much. Make sure you stay tuned for the wrap-up. All right, everybody, thank you. Bye-bye. All right, Skoob believers, that was Emily. Emily, thank you so much for all the valuable information. You definitely are very authentic about yourself and what you do. I'm really glad you got through this entrepreneur adventure. I'm glad you were here with us. But as usual, I do have a couple of takeaways on this. The biggest obstacle most entrepreneurs face is themselves. Overthinking, perfectionism, and fear of putting their product out there can keep you stuck. So remember that you can always make changes once you launch. Once you launch, it's not set in stone. We can still make changes and tweaks as the market sees fit and our customers want more from us. Getting comfortable with being uncomfortable is essential for growth. Emily went from re-recording interviews 5-6 times due to nervousness to confidently speaking on her podcast simply by putting in the reps and pushing herself to be in front of the cameras. We can learn to be able to be confident in front of cameras and in podcasts or anything else that you put out there, as long as we actually do it. We can't just not do it and expect to be on the camera the first time and expect it to be perfect. Let's put in the reps, Skoob believers, and let's see what happens. I'm glad you actually got all the way to the end of this, because my next podcast interview, Skoob believers, we finally did it. We finally got the one guest we've been wanting for the last 3 years on our podcast. That's right. We have none other than Pat Flynn coming on to the Undiscovered Entrepreneur. This is a huge, huge goal for me that I finally got to, and we're going to have him on the podcast in 2 weeks. So, Skoob believers, make sure you stay tuned for that. Whatever you need to do, subscribe, hit that button, whatever you need to do, because this is one you definitely do not want to miss. All right, Skoob believers, thank you for another great podcast, and I can't wait to see the next one that comes in with Pat Flynn. All right, everybody, bye-bye. And there you have it, future entrepreneurs. We've taken another step towards our journey to get across that start line. Remember, every great business starts with a single idea and the courage to pursue it. You've already shown that courage by joining us here today. As we wrap up this episode of The Undiscovered Entrepreneur, I want to remind you that the start line isn't as far away as you might think. With each bit of knowledge you gain, each fear you face, you're getting closer to launching your dream. Until our next episode together, keep pushing, keep dreaming, and most importantly, keep taking those steps across the start line. They'll all add up to big strides in your entrepreneur adventure. This is Skoob, your guide across the start line. Remember, your future is waiting. I can, I am, I will, and I'm doing it today. Hello, Skoob believers. Let me ask you a real quick question. How many cups of coffee have you had today? 3, 5, 7? And let me guess, you've got a Red Bull in the other hand just in case, right? Yeah, I see you. Now, here's the truth bomb nobody wants to hear. You're not building a business. You're building a caffeine dependency. Listen, I get it. When you're grinding 12, 14, 16-hour days, you're building something from nothing. When you've got payroll to meet, investors to impress, and visions that won't wait. You need fuel. But what if I told you that the fuel that you're using is actually slowing you down? What if the very thing that you think is keeping you sharp is actually making you dull? Enter Rise Coffee. This isn't your grandma's mushroom tea. This isn't some hippie wellness trend. This is science meets performance. And here's what makes Rise different. Less than half the caffeine of a regular cup of coffee. But here's the kicker. You won't miss it. 6 organic powerhouse mushrooms, including cordyceps, what Olympic athletes use, and lion's mane, what Silicon Valley biohackers swear by. Sustained energy that doesn't spike and crash. We're talking smooth, clean power from morning to moonlight. Crystal clear focus without the jitters. Imagine closing the deal with calm, confident mind instead of the caffeine chaos. Gut health and immune support, because what's the point of building an empire if you're too sick to enjoy it? So here's the challenge to you. Stop borrowing energy from tomorrow. Stop running on fumes and call it a hustle. Stop wearing your caffeine addiction like a badge of honor. Real entrepreneurs optimize, real entrepreneurs adapt, real entrepreneurs win. You can't win if you're crashing at 2 p.m. while your competition is just getting started. Break the cycle. Head to risesuperfoods.com right now and use code PODNA15 for 50% off your first order. That's PODNA15 for 15% off. Try it for 30 days. If you don't feel the difference, if you don't feel sharper, calmer, more focused, more alive, then go back to your 6-a-day cup habit. But I'm telling you, we won't, because once you feel what real energy feels like, you'll never go back. Ditch the addiction, fuel your empire, and rise up. Rise Coffee, energy that builds, not burns.